morning.
Morning, thank you.
David Retterman, an analyst for a San Francisco investment bank, closely monitors Netscape's radical plan for investors eager to participate in the Internet stock boom.
The market is really kind of a voting machine. It's voting, yes, I believe that vision statement. Yes, I believe that's going to result in product sales. Yes, that's going to drive earnings up, and stocks should trade accordingly.
The financial benefits to Netscape of giving away its source code are hard to measure.
I understand why Netscape's trying to do it, but I think they still have to show me that behind the vision and the slideware, there's a real sustainable business model that can deliver earnings, and so I'm in a show me mode for Netscape.
Now my job will be 3 times as hard as it was yesterday. It was already 10 times harder than it needed to be, right? Did I just work really hard to ship the company jewels out of the building, and it's going to just end up in this dying and rolling in poison and misery?
The day after the stuff goes out, you really don't get a let up. There is then this sort of day in, day out, go to work, turn on the computer, code, code, code.
That's Tara. Tara.
Yeah, what's your doctor say, Tara?
My doctor said,
Mylanta.
Interestingly enough, that I work too much. And that if I went to work today after my appointment, he would personally kill me.
I have an agreement with myself that by the time I'm 35, I'm either going to be a high school teacher or a bartender, but anything other than a position in the high-tech industry. Otherwise, I'll probably die by the time I'm 40.
Now that I'm an old guy, I've kind of been around the block a couple times, and you can go from realizing this just never stops, does it? And that being really depressing because you feel like I said I was never going to be on the treadmill, and here I am. I'm on the treadmill. I'm going to be running like this forever.
Because they're good at software, they need to keep pace. And as a result, keeping pace means to shut a lot of other things out. They just don't have time to read, time to hear about the world. They don't have much time for their families.
But when you're in a situation where you really have a lot of work to do and no time to do it, you pick what you want. Some people pick wanting to have a family. Some people pick wanting to get some software done.
Christopher was born right after I started at Netscape, and I basically missed the first 2 years of his life because of the intensity. I'd work till about 7 or 8 o'clock, come home, eat dinner, put the kids to bed, and then go back to work or work from home until 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was like the dad zombie.
He would call and say, I'm on my way home, and then it would be 2 or 3 hours, and, the romantic dinner candles had burned down, and I was thinking he was dead by the side of the road. So, if 24 hours goes by and I don't hear from him, I pretty much know where to find him.
I live in Michigan, and I commute. So it's quite a long commute. I don't make it every day. I only make it about every 2 weeks or so. But there's quite a time change. Here it's something like 12:01 in the morning, and there it's 1954.
The motivation for moving back here is I wanted to get into a community, put roots down, and feel settled. And life is just different out there. It really is. I mean, here people work at a car factory or whatever, and they're 30 years and out.
If you want to go over there, sure, that's fine by me.
We spent 45 minutes talking about this whole story from job to job to job to job. And I thought it was pretty cool. He had over, I forgot how many, I don't know, it was over 10 or something jobs.
He seemed to do it a lot during particularly peak stressful times, baby due in 2 months, I'm changing jobs now, dear.
I like when everything's changing. That makes it exciting. That's why I do it. It's something to be in the storm, right in the middle of it, and seeing everything new happening and putting it all together. It's really exciting. It's almost addictive. I wouldn't want to leave it, that's for sure.
At times it's a clear sacrifice of elements of your personal life. I have to work very hard, but I have the chance of being rewarded for my efforts. The disadvantage, my life's moving on. I don't have any children yet. You realize there's a certain amount of my life that I'm sacrificing, and I'm going to look back, and a portion of this life is gone.
In the U.S., we have at least several million people directly making a living from software, and it's the fastest growing group of people in the economy, and it's certainly, in aggregate, the highest paying field of its size. I mean, yeah, you've got baseball, you've got Hollywood, but, you know, when you really think of a group that has millions of people in it, these are the highest wages anybody's ever seen in the United States.
I hear you.
The opportunity to win big for code writers is very real. In fact, that, if you will, jackpot opportunity is reflected here on a Wall Street trading desk. And I find that a lot of the engineers and managers from Silicon Valley are very attuned to what goes on these trading floors daily.
By one account, 64 millionaires are created daily in Silicon Valley, where any technology worker can strike it rich overnight.
You join a company and they give you some stock options, which basically says, rather than just giving you stock, they give you the right to buy the stock in the future at the current price. You might get stock in the order of, you know, maybe a year's salary or 2 years' salary typically worth of options. In some of these real booming companies out there on the internet, the potential for becoming a millionaire or doing very well is very, very high. The people who are very, very early, they call them Mozillionaires.
Stock options are a con. It's a carrot they dangle. It's like, oh, well, you know, if you give up your one and only youth, maybe someday you'll make money, right? I've known so many people who gambled on the startup lottery and gotten nothing. You know, it's just like a lottery ticket. It's a stupid tax. I happened to win that particular lottery.
From the day Microsoft announced its aggressive commitment to the Internet, however, Netscape's stock has been in a steady decline, and throughout most of 1998, Netscape options are essentially worthless.
A year and a half ago, half of our revenue came from browser sales. Today, none of it does. And well, any business person out there knows that that's a huge challenge. I mean, let me take your number one selling product away from you and you replace that within a period of 12 months or so. Not many people want to do that.
Even though the company sells other Internet products, the marketplace views Netscape as a browser company in a losing battle with Microsoft.
Greg, this is Jim Barksdale with Netscape Communications. How are you?
It's clear that Netscape doesn't have enough pieces to threaten Microsoft.
All right, Greg.
I don't think that Netscape long-term can survive as an independent company.
While Mozilla tries to recapture the early glory days of the company, integrating code from the outside means more work for everyone on the browser team.
Apparently I must have done it backwards from what you told me, or I don't know what.
Okay, this is bad.
We want to take the old free tree and use it as a subsection, and we want to build this interesting tree around it.
No, that's not what we want to do. We have NS and NSPriv at the top, right?
It's either a project file for this or a project file for that. It can't be a project file for both. We don't have a plan for doing both. So right now, I have some files that have to come from here for Java in the single directory, and some files that have to come from here in the same directory. The same directory. Tell me how I do that. That's the problem.
The browser division, which costs the company almost $30 million a year to operate and contributes few revenues to the company, is reorganized in the fall for the second time in less than a year.
Do we have all the answers? No. We're going to try and learn what we can from seeing the people who've done this well.
When I joined a startup, I knew that 19 out of 20 fail. When an employee comes to work at Netscape today, he doesn't have the perception that there's a 19 out of 20 chance that this job is not going to be in place 1 to 5 years from now.
If you live here, it is the ubiquitous conversation. Do you believe that Microsoft has used either A, illegal or just unfair methods to take market share from Netscape? And if the heart and soul of this industry is opportunity, is egalitarianism, Microsoft having achieved its market share on anything other than the backs of its code really riles everybody up.
Justice Department has charged Microsoft with engaging in anti-competitive and exclusionary practices designed to maintain its monopoly in personal computer operating systems, and attempting to extend that monopoly to Internet browser software.
Regardless of its case against Microsoft, Netscape has become a victim of its increasing size and the growing complexities of its code. The company struggles to maintain the vitality it enjoyed as a startup.
When a company gets to be above a certain size, it's just a process. It's a mechanism for making money, and innovation is like one possible way of doing that, but it's a risky way. So big companies don't do that. Microsoft actually doesn't do very much. They buy companies. They wait until someone has done something interesting, and then they acquire them, and then they milk it for all it's worth. And I mean, I don't mean to pick on Microsoft, because lots of companies do that. It's just a normal way of doing business.